I'm so excited to chat with Lisa Lorna Blair today on the Awaken Feminine podcast. Lisa is a former journalist, editor, radio broadcaster, and PR manager who now spends her days inspiring others as a manifestation muse, gratitude goddess, financially free female, conscious online entrepreneur, coach, mentor, author, and queen of positivity and high vibes. I think I want what she's having. So she's one of my co-authors in Prosperity Codes, and I know she has so much love and wisdom to share with us. She's joining me from Queensland, so a fellow Aussie. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, 𝐿𝐸. It's so good to be here. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Yeah. I am too, because we don't know what we're going to be talking about. So that's the best type of conversation.
They're the best kind.
Yeah, definitely. But before we dive in, I always ask my guests this question, and it's, I'd love to know, what is your definition of an awakened feminine?
Ooh, that's a great question. An awakened feminine. Well, for me, I guess it's really about being completely true to who we are, the very essence of who we are, allowing that to come through in everything we say, everything we do, and just being unapologetically you, like just knowing that the divine essence of the feminine that is within us is something we should embrace and be so proud of, instead of trying to push it down or hide it or hold it back. Just bring it forward.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask you, have you had a time where you have suppressed and pushed down your feminine?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I know. I suspect most women will probably relate to this. And I think it for me, most of the time that was happening was when I was a young wife and mum of small children. And you just go into that automatic pilot mode of I've got to get stuff done. I've got to cope. I've got to be on top of it. And your self-care suffers because you're just so focused on everyone and everything else and just keeping it all going. And for me, that was the time where I totally suppressed that side of myself. If I was busy with the kids or working, because you kind of go into the masculine of the I've got to get this done, I've got to meet these deadlines. Especially for me as a former journalist, it was definitely all around deadlines. So yeah, it was many years of doing that, but you don't realize it when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got two young kids, mine's 6 and 2, and at the beginning, when I had my first child, that was basically me, everything you described. And it is not until you actually realize that you're actually doing that you can actually change. Most of us actually get stuck in those patterns for a very, very long time. Yeah.
Totally. I'm so glad you've realized it now, a lot sooner than I did.
Yeah, it took a mental breakdown, emotional breakdown for that to happen, but it's so much better on the other side.
Yeah.
So still work in progress. So Lisa, I want to ask you, because you are all these amazing things. I mean, when I was introducing you, I'm like, Manifestation Muse, gratitude goddess. I'm like, oh my goodness, I want what she's having. So can you share with us, a bit more about who you are and why you've become this amazing woman who's just spreading positivity, high vibes, and all the good stuff?
Absolutely. Well, I think similar to yourself in a sense, I think from the breakdown always comes a breakthrough. And if I look back on the past decade of my life, that was where things shifted in a big way for me. And I went through a marriage separation and a divorce, and having to restart and reset everything on my own and find out who I was and where I want to show up in the world and how. So it was a tough time. I was pretty much broken apart, smashed to bits, and kind of gradually build it all back together, which was a slow process, but a beautiful journey. And all those broken pieces, came back together, but with more learning and more growth and more gratitude for all of it. I have no regret about any of it. I look back and go, it was all for the greater good to bring me to where I am today, to be able to support others and know and understand their journey. I'm a total empath, so I can really feel other people's energy and emotion. I'm the person who cries in movies or even TV commercials. I'll sit there with
I'm the same.
If it's a sad one, I'm there crying, and so I just feel that. And I think, well, it's allowed me to get alongside people who are in that journey and need that support. And so nothing happens to us by accident. It has a purpose and it has a reason. So I made that shift quite consciously. And when we came and moved over to Queensland, because I married my now husband in 2015. And for both of us, it was like, this is our time. It's a new beginning. It's a fresh start. We got married at sunrise on the beach in Bali, and we chose that quite deliberately, even though our guests probably didn't like the idea of getting up so early, but they all showed up. It was we chose dawn because this is a new dawn, a new day, a new beginning. This is our life, and we're going to live it to the best that we possibly can. And from there, and then moving to Queensland to make that fresh start and a new life for ourselves was very much about, it's our time now, and let's bring the gratitude forward. Let's bring the positivity forward and support others and help them with that as well. So that was sort of where it all changed and why it all changed. And it's just been this upward trajectory ever since.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. I want to ask you, there's so much in your story about you having a marriage breakdown and then going through these changes. When looking back, you're grateful for everything that has happened. But when you were in the I can't even say the word, in the middle of it all, I was trying to say the other word. How did you feel, and what were the tools or, things that you did to really help you get through that time of hardship?
Yeah. It's a great question. It's, it was a pretty heavy time. There was a lot of heartbreak. And for me, a lot of guilt, like a lot of, I've failed, I haven't, I expected to be married for a long, long time, and we had been married 23 years. So that was already, a long time. And I felt like I'm letting myself down. I'm letting my kids down. What will other people think of me? All those things come into it. And you go very inward, and there was a lot of soul that had to go on. And I think I was incredibly hard on myself for a long time. I didn't have self-worth. I didn't have self-love at all. And I was in a pretty dark space. To start shifting from that, part of it was the support of friends who had been there, done that, or, who were just there with me and holding space for me through that time. That was a big piece. And then just pivoting my life and going, okay, this is how it is now. It looks different to what I anticipated it was going to be, but make the best of it, make the most of it, and see what comes through. And it was a gradual process, but certainly leaning on others at the time, and then doing my own kind of spiritual journey and getting back to me. A lot of those things, like I talked about, that I had pushed down or suppressed, started to come back. A gratitude practice, diving into more personal growth and personal development, and being amongst people who I think, exactly like you said, that quote, I want what she's having, and I would say, right, okay, what are they doing differently that I can lean into, that I can, wash some of that stuff onto me as well, so I can be part of that. And that was where it all started for me. Yeah.
That's really awesome. And, they always say you're the average of the, 5 people that you hang around with the most. And it is so true because, when you think about it, if you're going to hang around with like negative people all day, you're going to be like shriveled and like, shrinking. But being able to hang around people that are expanded and just, doing things that they love, and just so much love and positivity makes such a big difference. I'm losing my voice. So Lisa, I wanted to ask you, like, let's talk a bit about prosperity, because for me, also shamelessly plugging our book, Prosperity Codes. For me, prosperity really is about coming back home to yourself and, getting rid of the labels and external validation and really coming back to who you are. Yes, the money is good, or not, the fancy cars and big house. Yeah, that's perfect. But, a lot of times when you pull those away from people, they don't actually feel good about themselves. So was that something that you found, like your prosperity journey? Do you mind, sharing a little bit about that and what prosperity actually means for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are really good points to touch on, because I think when people first hear the word prosperity, their mind probably automatically goes to the things you mentioned, like the fancy cars or the big house, or, having money and dripping wealth. And what I really have loved through the journey with this book and with all the authors is that prosperity is so much more than that. Yes, it can be about the money, but it's not really that feeling of prosperity. And I think all of us really stepped into that and expanded in our chapters that prosperity is so much more. It's about that abundance. It's about living a meaningful life, connecting with other people, all those beautiful things. That's what prosperity is. And I think on the reel that we did, I shared that, it's thriving, flourishing, and living a freedom life. To me, that's prosperity. The money and that sort of support is beautiful energy that helps us to create the things we want to do in the world and to give value back to other people. And of course, that's lovely, but it's not about the money. It's about that prosperous feeling. So it's so much more. It is definitely the feeling and the energy that we bring. And I love what I get to create. I love that I live a freedom life on my terms, that I wake up when I want to get up and I do the things that I want to do each day. I get to have conversations like this with amazing people like yourself, or I get to go out to lunch, or I get to design this now. And that to me is true prosperity.
Yeah, that's beautiful, that what you shared. So in terms of like your journey into prosperity, because I know you're a financially free female and you've got your own business. So, from your marriage breakdown to then, I've read your chapter and I know a little bit about your story, but, from your marriage breakdown and then kind of having to kind of rebuild yourself and wanting to change your paradigm, your reality to something where you can have that financial freedom, that time freedom, and being able to support others. How did that journey unfold for you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, beautiful. For me, the biggest shift and the change for me happened around about 3 years ago. I joined an online freedom community to set up my own online business. I knew I wanted to work for me. I wanted to be my own boss. I had done it many years ago when I was living in Kalgoorlie in WA. I had a PR and media business for a while where I worked from home when my children were young. And I knew that feeling of working for myself, which I loved. And I had tried network marketing models as well, because same thing. I thought, if I can just earn my own money. And I had a bit of success and it was lovely, but it was always that pushing products or getting, your parents or your family to buy all your stuff. And I didn't feel good about that. It wasn't aligned enough for me. So when I discovered this online community and saw what they were doing and creating, I thought, I want what they're having. I really had that FOMO feeling. Seeing them show up in the world as themselves, creating and expanding. The beauty of it is that it's very much a model where, yes, there's marketing, personal branding, and creating who you are and what you offer. But the other side, which is so beautiful, is the personal development, the spiritual development, and the growth within yourself. And for me, that was what pulled me in. I thought, if I can have that and transform my own life, anything that happens on the other side of that in terms of making money and earning an income is just the icing on the cake. And I keep saying this to people, if I had only ever just done the personal growth side and the spiritual side, I would have had everything I needed. The money dropping into my bank at random times during the day and during the night, that's just a bonus, really. You know, it's great to have that. But yeah, that was where everything changed for me. And I've met people from all over the world who have joined me in my business. I've made beautiful connections. And I love going from I call it from the URL to IRL. So, you meet people on the web and then you meet them in real life. So URL to IRL. And that's happened a few times too. Yeah. And I look forward to that being the case for us as well. One day we'll meet in person when I get back over to WA.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I love that URL to IRL. I haven't heard of that before, but it's so true. Like, especially in the last 2 years, everyone just meets on Zoom.
Yes.
And I mean, now we're kind of getting back to being able to travel. So it would be great to meet everyone in real life. It's, they're missing that human touch and that real connection, even though, you have that heart connection energetically. But I feel like human touch just, really makes it just so much better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We were having a major event on the Gold Coast with our freedom community. There were like 800 of us there, and we'd been going for 4 days, and, we were all hugging each other and we had a dinner and we had a yacht party. We had all these amazing things. And on that Sunday was when the announcement came through about the world going into lockdown, and we were all like, wow, and all events were cancelled. And it was just amazing that we got there, right, got through all those 4 days.
Yeah.
Nobody got sick. Everyone was fine because the energy was amazing and it was incredible. But we all went home, and then that was it. There was no more big live events, and all the travel stopped. All the international team members all flew back as quickly as they could. And so, yeah, everything since then, as you say, has been like on Zoom or, on broadcast means and doing it this way instead of being able to do it in person. So, yeah, I'm excited for us to be able to get back to the heart connection again.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually do a podcast with someone like next to me. I can't wait for that.
Yes.
Yeah. And how amazing that, you guys got through those 4 days. It is the vibration and the energy of the event and the people there. So that's really cool. You mentioned something about if you knew about the personal development and spiritual work, then you would have got to where you are already like a long time ago. Can you expand a bit more on that for us?
Yeah, look, it's such a core part of everything that you do in your life. Yes, the prosperity side is there, which is beautiful, but just to transform yourself as a human, we're having this beautiful human experience on this planet, to be able to level up and truly step into who you are and what your mission is on this world, on this planet, it's just such a vital thing. But unless you do that inner work, unless you break through the ancestral stories or the money stories or the limiting beliefs, and I had plenty of them. And if you don't do that work, then you can't show up and you can't shine, in your authentic way. So for me, being able to step into that and have the support from mentors and coaches and people who had done that journey ahead of me to support me to get there, it was huge and so transformational. So I can't emphasize that enough for people. It's like, if there's so much more to life, but something's missing, start doing that inner work. And things will change.
Yeah. I totally agree with that, because it's the mindset and the energy that really creates your reality. And if you're always in that low vibration, I was like, oh, why is life so hard? Then life is going to be hard.
That's it.
And
we
then
speak it into reality, don't we?
Yeah. it's I've been teaching my daughter that because she'll be like, oh, I don't like this. I'm like, well, the more you say it, the more you're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
And she's like, ooh. She's 6, but I argue with her still. But it is, it's so true, and trying to instill that into a 6-year-old. She's like, I don't understand, I don't get it. But yeah, it is so true that you speak things into reality, your thoughts become reality. And until you actually start doing all the personal development and the spiritual work, you don't even understand what that actually means. Like, what do you mean? I can think things and it becomes reality. Yeah. But if you think about everything, it all started with an idea, and that's a thought.
Yes.
Yes, you need to put it in action, but you started with it in your head.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely
broadcast it out to the universe. Right. I wanted to ask you about, because I was reading your chapter and you were talking about finding your dream home, and you coined this term droming.
Yeah.
And I love that, because I was like, oh, that's a really cool term, and that you coined it. Are you okay? Are you happy to talk a little bit about how that kind of came about?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I love it. And it was really cute because I had, when I was promoting the book, one of my friends thought it was a typo. She's like, what's this?
Yeah, when I saw the title.
Droming?
Yeah, because when I read the title, I'm like, is there something? I don't know. Like, what is this? So I thought I'll read the chapter first, because I'm sure
yeah. I hope it makes sense now.
It makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were very much on this mission, having been here 5 years, and we were like, okay, we're ready now for our own home. We had property to sell in Kalgoorlie first. And then, of course, post the pandemic stuff and everything that's happened here on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, we've had this massive property boom. And houses that we were looking at a couple of years ago that were 600,000-700,000 were suddenly $1 million, and we're like, how are we going to even do this? And so I share in the book the phrase that I use is that it's our job to focus on the what and the now, and allow the universe or source or spirit, creator, whatever word you use, to focus on the when and the how. And that little rhyme has served me so well, and I've shared it with so many people. So I said to my husband Kevin, I said, okay, we know what we want, we don't know when it's going to happen, that's not our job, and we don't know how, that's not our job either. And especially in the midst of a property surge, how is that going to happen? On the face value of it, people would say you're crazy, like you're just not going to get what you want. And I said, no, I know what we want, and that's what we're going to focus on. So we totally focused on the dream home, and that's where the droming word comes from, dream homing, like droming. And so every weekend we would go and we would look at home opens, or we'd go to display homes or the charity prize homes, and we would walk through and we would just generate that feeling, the feeling of, look at the space, look at the light coming in, look at the garden. My husband really wanted a home theatre room because he's got a beautiful big screen and a projector, and it had been packed away in storage since we moved over here. And he's like, I want a movie room. So we would find houses and go, it's got this, this, and this, but nowhere where the screen would fit. So it's like, no, it's not the right one. Keep looking. So he was totally manifesting the home theatre room. I was totally manifesting a big kitchen, because I love entertaining. I love being in the kitchen and preparing food. And I just thought, I just need a big kitchen. I need a beautiful big space, lots of storage. And we wanted to be away from sort of noise, and we just wanted to be in nature, either near the beach or in the rainforest. So those were some of the elements. There's a lot more, but they were the key things that we just kept saying, focus on what we want, keep looking, keep trusting. And there were a couple of times where we thought we'd found it, and, we would go to an auction or put an offer in on a place, and it just didn't work out. And, you go through that feeling of, despair. It's not happening. What's going wrong? And then both of us, there's always one or the other would go, right, come on, we've got to, get back on the horse again, so to speak. Let's refocus. Remember what we are calling in.
Mm.
And sure enough, here it is. I'm living in it now. And we found it amazingly. It was the week of my birthday last year in August. We found the property and we prepared to come and see it. Then there was a lockdown.
Of course there was.
So, they had to say, oh, we can't do the home open because there's lockdown. However, what the real estate agent did was do a Facebook Live. So he had his phone and he had the video going, and he walked through the whole house and showed each room and said, this is this, showed it around. And you could ask questions on the Facebook Live. And it's the most amazing, surreal experience, because you're looking at this house and you're kind of going, oh, can you just go back into that room again and have another look? And both of us were just going, wow, this ticks every box. It was so amazing. And then you had to put an offer in after the Facebook Live, even though you hadn't even physically been in the house. And we was like, okay, let's put our offer forward. Let's give this a go, because we believed it was the right one.
Mm.
And then from that, they took, I think, the top 3 or 4 offers that were close to what the owners were anticipating. And then you could book a viewing where you just went through by yourself with the agent. So that's what happened. And the rest is history, because here we are. And we moved in on my husband's birthday in October. So from my birthday to his birthday, it was just amazing. Yeah.
That is incredible. Yeah, that is the coolest story. And I've got full goosebumps going on here. Yeah. But that is so cool. And yeah, I just can't imagine looking at a house on a Facebook Live and going, can you go into the pantries? I can see.
That's right. It's like, what's behind that door? Because there's this beautiful, I've got this amazing walk-in robe. It's huge. And he kind of went in and out of there really quickly. And we were typing in the comments, look, can you go back in there again? I want to have another look, So those things were important to me. Whereas the guys were going, oh, can you show us the shed again? Can you go back through there?
You have to say, with the pandemic has brought so much fun stories of things that we never thought we would experience.
Exactly. We've really had to learn to adapt and pivot, haven't we?
Yeah.
In the whole situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also goes to show how adaptable human beings are and how we can actually change in an instant.
Oh, yeah.
So many people don't think that they can change or that change is possible. But look at the last 2 years. We changed like that. And unless you really resisted it, then you thrived and you move forward, or you just continue doing what you were doing, but in a different way. You just kind of went, oh, okay, I need to do it this way now.
Yes.
So it's change is normal. It's possible.
Absolutely.
It's just a great reminder. And, with change comes funny stories like what we're sharing, come on, let's have a look at this house with Facebook Live.
That's right.
And even just with us talking about meeting on Zoom, having these conversations. So you just have to adapt to be able to keep moving on with your life. So it's really cool. I want to ask you about your little phrase, focus on the what and the now, and leave the when and the how to, universe, God, whatever, your beliefs are. Mm-hmm. How did you kind of come up with that little phrase? Because it is, I totally resonate with it, because I know it to be true, but can you talk a bit about how you kind of came up with that in your life?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's probably a little bit of a thanks to the pandemic and us having to learn to pivot and do things differently. I love being in manifesting groups and containers and working with some of my mentors and coaches, and all the ideas are there. There's nothing that's going to be specifically new. We've known about this stuff pretty much since The Secret became a bestseller and everybody knew about it. So each time I've gone into something, I've taken another nugget away and gone, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder where I can use that, and where can I adapt that into what I teach and how I support others. And I think it was in a conversation on Clubhouse, and I don't even go on Clubhouse anymore, but during the pandemic, as I say, when we were kind of going, well, electronic communication was what was getting us all by when we were in lockdowns and things like that. And there were a group of us talking on Clubhouse about manifesting, and those were the words that were coming through. And I was going, oh, this is really cool, because, and I think they used slightly different words to what I chose, but I deliberately chose ones that would rhyme. Because I thought, if I can turn this into a rhyme, you'll remember it, and it'll be a tool that people can use. So that's how it came about, basically. And and I just continually, when I support my team members and people in my Facebook group, the Manifestation Muse, I keep reminding them to go back to that, because they get so in their head. We all do. We're still having a human experience, and our humanity makes us go back into the head and overthink. And I'm going, it's not your job. You're worrying about how this is going to happen. Stop worrying about that. Go back to what it is you want to manifest and be in the now, which basically just means get into a state of gratitude, be present, stop worrying about the past, stop worrying about the future. We can't control those things. So just be in the moment, be in the now, and focus on what it is you want to manifest. And this is totally what we applied when we were dreaming for the dream home. We just said what we want, how we're feeling now. And we poured so much gratitude onto the rentals that we had been living in. Like, we're just going, so grateful for this location and what we've learned, and what those houses taught us about what we don't want. Like, we didn't want to live on a busy road and things like that. So just get into the now, do the what, do the now, and let source, spirit, universe take care of when and how. And when doors close, like they did for us on a couple of those houses that didn't work out and we were devastated, it's just, okay, pick yourself up and go again, because we also always say this or something better. Yeah. And inevitably, here it is. This is my something better, that I'm looking outside now, and there's all these trees and these birds and the sun's shining, and I'm just going, wow, it's just this lovely little peaceful haven that I get to live in.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I just love everything you share, because as like you're saying, as humans, we focus so much on the how and the when. Everything is like, oh, I want this done by this day, and this is how it's going to happen. And the universe, or God, whatever, I'm going to say universe because that's what I usually say. It is like, I don't care about your timeline.
That's right.
And it's such a great reminder also about, when the door closes, it doesn't mean that, you do get upset. But if you think about it, I'm a big Gabby Bernstein fan, and she says obstacles detour into the right direction.
Yeah.
So the door closing might be an obstacle. You might see an obstacle, but is actually taking you to a even better place that you can't even imagine. So you can't even imagine the how. You don't need to know the how, right? Because you can't even imagine how it's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when we do that, when we just let go, it happens in such a better way, way better than what we could have come up with.
Yeah. And one thing that one of my mentors used to say is like, if you keep focusing on how it's going to happen, you're focusing on the only way that it will happen, but the universe is not going to deliver it to you in that way. So you're just focusing on your energy. It's like, this is how I'm going to get from A to B. And that's the only way. But getting that particular thing, it can come in so many different ways. And you're limiting yourself by just focusing on the one way. Yeah. So it's just
be open to the possibilities, because there's so many.
Yeah. But then I want to touch on taking action, right? So people are like, okay, well, fine, Lisa and 𝐻𝐤𝐬𝐚, we won't focus on the how, we won't focus on the when. But surely I can't just sit here and go, I want this, and I'm focusing on the now. I'm feeling all the good energy. Like I can't just sit here and expect the house to, the contract to be signed and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So can you give our audience any tips on, okay, well, if I can't focus on the how, then how am I going to keep going?
Yeah.
Get it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you use the perfect terminology, the aligned action. Like we have to take aligned action. You're exactly right. We can't just, it's not a case of, okay, well, I've put it out there now, I'll just sit back here and wait for it to happen, because that is not how it's going to work, because we're stagnant then. We're not moving. We need to be moving towards what it is we want. So as I said earlier and touched on it briefly, my example with the house was going out to home opens and display homes and getting into that feeling of, oh, what would it be like to have a beautiful big kitchen? So I would walk through a beautiful big kitchen and I would breathe that in and feel it and go, yeah, this is what I'm calling into me. My husband, the minute he would find a movie room in a house, he'd be straight in there, and he's like, oh yeah, my screen would fit there and this, and I would put this there, and totally visualize, because our minds are powerful. And if we work in pictures, we can do so much. I mean, there's endless possibilities. If I say to someone, describe your fridge to me in your kitchen, like you could do that right now, right, Kaki? You don't have to go and look at it. You can tell me whether it's silver, whether it's white, whether it's upside down, freezer at the bottom or freezer at the top. You could describe it to me completely because you've got that picture. And so if we give our mind that opportunity to call in the pictures of what our life will look like, then we're taking action. Another thing that's powerful, and I know a lot of people swear by it and love it, is to create a vision board, put the things on the vision board. I actually have a vision book, because I kept finding with a vision board that I would put things on it and then it would be full. And I was like, I need more pages. I haven't got. And then I would do the back of the vision board and so on. So I actually created a book, and it's a big art journal, and I've got sections in that. And so I've got the house was at the front, and then it was, business, career, and that kind of thing. Then it was holidays and travel. That area is a little bit empty at the moment, thanks to the last couple of years, but we'll fill that back up again. And then my health and my wellness, because I was recovering from heart surgery last year. So it was all about getting my body back and getting my energy back. So that's what I did. I created a vision book. So that was another way I took action, because I thought, I've got those pictures there. I'd bring the vision book out each day when I sit here in my office and open it up to, at the time it was the house, because I'd had the pictures of the house. And then, now I might start putting the travel ones back again, because we can actually book things now.
Yeah.
So those were some ways that I did it. And I'm sure there's others, but yeah, you're absolutely right. We need to take some action. We can't just sit still and expect it to fall in our lap, because that's not how it works.
Yeah. And I think, like you saying, aligned action is the key here, because we tend to like to distract ourselves with busy work.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm busy, I'm taking action, but you're not actually taking action to anything that you want. You're just doing stuff. Yeah. Oh, cool. Lisa, I really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you so much for your time with me today. I want to ask you, with everything that you've gone through in your journey so far, if you had to go back to a younger version of you, what's that key piece of advice that you would tell that younger Lisa?
Oh, yeah, I love that. Well, because I think when people read my chapter in the book, they'll realize where I went to, which was, I started with my childhood and going through a lot of pain and discomfort with my mum and my stepdad. And there were some traumas there. And so again, they shape us. They're part of our journey. They're part of our story. And I would go back to that younger version of me that was climbing out of the bedroom window and running away. And I would hold her and I would just say, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Just trust and just believe in yourself. That's the biggest thing. We must believe in ourselves. External things are always going to come up. There's going to be stuff happening around us. We can't control that, but we can control us and how we feel and how we go out in the world and what we do. We can allow these things, you know, I could have allowed those things to make me bitter and twisted, but I didn't. You know, I kept the faith and the trust that, you know, keep going forward, keep being a good person, you know, just do you, you know. So yeah, that's what I would do. I'd tell her it's all going to be okay, because it is.
Yeah, that's beautiful advice. And yeah, and I think everyone benefits from hearing that. You know, that would be something I'll tell my youngest self for sure, because we just don't trust ourselves or enough.
Exactly.
And it's always a work in progress. So yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Lisa. And I just want to ask you before we wrap up, what's setting your soul on fire right now?
Oh, that's juicy. I love it. Well, I guess it's probably a twofold thing. One thing that's really setting my soul on fire right now is the bestseller status for our book and all the energy around that, and the interviews and the conversations and the opportunities to talk with other people about the book and what prosperity really means for all of us. So that's been a whirlwind, but so exciting. I've also just celebrated my 7th wedding anniversary, so I'm sort of still on a bit of a buzz and a high from all of that as well. It's kind of all been happening. And the other thing that's totally setting my soul on fire is I've made some more beautiful connections online through this experience, and just sort of, meeting more people who are on that same path or asking those questions. And again, I'm looking forward to those URL friendships becoming IRL. I actually had lunch this week with one of my beautiful friends who we met online. We joke about it. We met online. And to be able to meet her in person has been a total joy, a real gift. We just knew we were meant to be and connected really quickly. So I'm excited by that, because I can see more of that happening, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm celebrating you. I'm celebrating our book. I'm celebrating us, and, you know, friendships that are, you know, growing and blossoming. And it's just so beautiful. Thank you so much, Lisa, for this wonderful conversation about everything, and especially about prosperity. If people want to find out more about you, or how they can, you know, learn how to be this amazing manifestation muse and gratitude goddess that you are, where should they go to find you?
I guess probably the place I hang out the most is Facebook. So it's probably the best place to find me as Lisa Lorna Blair. And that's my maternal grandmother's name is Lorna. So that I use her name because I very much feel she's with me. I never got to meet her in person. She passed of cancer before I was born. So I feel she's with me. So Lisa Lorna Blair on Facebook, or my Facebook group, which is called the Manifestation Muse. So that's probably the best two places to search for me. And please, anyone who does come across me, just tell me where you heard about me, so I can go, oh, how have you found me? If you say it's from this beautiful podcast, then I'll know straight away. That'll be amazing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I have all your details and in the show notes so people can find you. Thank you once again.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Bye.